Hello once again. So this time we're talking about Ali Rizvi. Now Ali Rizvi is someone I've been aware of for some time now, maybe 3 years, possibly four. And in the past couple of years, he seems to have changed. He seems to have gone preachy, sanctimonious, self-righteous, very pompous. He doesn't take kindly to criticism. And I've noticed this a number of times, most prominently in an exchange he had with Raheem Kassam, where he pretty much dismissed the idea of no-go zones being a real thing. And then Raheem Kassam somehow got brought into the exchange. This was on Twitter, of course. And Ali Rizvi basically dismissed his entire book called No-Go Zones. And it came out in this exchange that, of course, Ali Rizvi hasn't even looked at the book, let alone read it. So he's dismissing a book without checking any of the references, any of the sources, any of the citations, or even reading it. So this is just an example of the self-righteous and smug attitude that Ali Rizvi displays towards his critics. I was also made aware by a friend on Facebook that his wife is an SJW, and he alerted me to an exchange she had with some guy that she had an exchange with on Facebook, and she basically dismissed his views because the guy espousing the views was a white guy. So she basically said, "Shut up because you're white." I think it was the topic at hand was something involving race, or perhaps some racial disparity, perhaps something to do with police. I can't quite remember. But because this guy was white, that was sufficient for Ali Rizvi's racist SJW wife to tell him he's white, so therefore he can't speak on the subject, which, of course, is racism pure and simple. Now, not only was Ali Rizvi aware of this, he obviously sided with his wife because he's a pussy whipped bitch, and he sanctioned and agreed with the racism. So I come across another piece of sanctimony from Chubby Ali, and I was compelled to make this video, so here we go. Now, Ali Rizvi loves to get himself into a righteous indignation about Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson, the public enemy number one to the middle class, upper middle class, leftist intellectual. This is from anyone that sort of aligns with or was in the same circles as the likes of Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, the basic four horsemen of the so-called new atheist movement. There's a very elitist, ivory tower intellectual snobbery amongst not only Dawkins, but also to a lesser extent Harris, and a lot of people that leech onto these people. And Ali Rizvi is one of such individuals. So he posted this tweet in defense of, well, it's an attack of Tommy Robinson. So Tommy Robinson to London's Mayor Sadiq Khan, who was born and raised in England just like him. It's not your country, not your capital. You're part of an invasion into our country. It's our country. Also says London has no real British people. This is obviously a cherry pick of part of a much longer rant from Tommy. It's 14 seconds. I'll play what Ali has cherry picked.
It's so loud and vocal about not wanting them in his country, as he keeps labelling it. His country, his capital. It's not your country or your capital. You're part of an invasion into our country, Sadiq. That's what you are, it's our country. And that's...
So 14 seconds there, not a great deal to get much context. Thankfully, someone has called him out in a pretty intelligent manner. Why you should never call yourself a free thinker. You lack the ability to steal, man. One interpretation was Tommy answering Sadiq's claim that Tommy is the other in his, brackets, Sadiq's country. Get it? Question mark. Not everything is to be taken literally according to your narrow view. This guy, of course, is correct. As I covered earlier, Ali Rizvi loves to misrepresent and strawman his ideological opponents, and I referenced the example with Raheem Kassam. I should just add that Ali Rizvi has also had the run-ins that he's had with Raheem Kassam, with Robert Spencer as well, multiple times. In fact, I'll link a really good article from Robert Spencer on on one of his exchanges with Ali Rizvi. It gives again a good illustration of the sanctimony and dishonesty and just slimy leftist type tactics deployed by Ali Rizvi when he's engaging his ideological opponent slash enemy, in terms of as he sees it anyway. Basically, anyone who he perceives as being right wing or non leftist or not a Democrat type. And he clearly attacks and views people like Tommy Robinson, Robert Spencer, and Raheem Kassam as fitting this description that he has for his foes, and he attacks them on that basis. Ali's responded with his usual full of shit sanctimony, and the guys responded, and I pretty much agree with him. He's pretty spot on. Ali Rizvi doesn't seem to have much of an argument. It's a rag to a bull. Tommy Robinson has triggered Ali Rizvi, as it were, and Ali Rizvi has taken it upon himself to respond. Let's add some further context here. As I said, I was aware of Ali Rizvi for some time. I was the person that those of you who are aware of prominent guy on Twitter by the name of Lalo Dagash, I was the one who set up the initial podcast and conversation between Lalo Dagash and Ali Rizvi. I am friends with Lalo, and we were talking on Twitter, and I included Ali Rizvi, and I basically set up the chat between them. I'll link that podcast in the description, actually, between Lalo and Ali Rizvi. But since then, as I said, Ali is... I'm not quite sure how to describe what's happened to him, but he's insufferable now. Very often on the wrong side of an argument and just very dishonest. I mention this because not long after that, Sadiq Khan was elected the Mayor of London. Ali Rizvi was a cheerleader, an avid fan of Sadiq Khan, and the reason he was a fan of Sadiq Khan was, one, because Sadiq Khan was a Muslim, and Ali directly referenced this in tweets when he was celebrating the fact that a Muslim had been elected mayor of the capital city of a non-Muslim country, as if that's worth celebrating, like diversity is our strength type thing, leftist slash neo-Marxist doctrine. So he was thrilled with the fact that diversity was our strength in electing a Muslim mayor. Also, the fact that Sadiq Khan is a leftist Muslim. So, again, aligning with Ali Rizvi, who is also a leftist, and he, at least culturally, identifies as a Muslim. And he's called his book The Atheist Muslim. So that, again, is demonstration and evidence of that culturally he aligns with and sees himself as Muslim, although he's an atheist. So he has an affinity with Muslims, he's related to Muslims, he wants to defend Muslims. So he aligned with Sadiq Khan, defended Sadiq Khan. I then had an exchange with him on Twitter. Unfortunately, my account's been wiped out, so I no longer have any pictures or evidence of the exchange. But it soon became apparent to me that Ali Rizvi had no knowledge of what Sadiq Khan stands for, or his links, or his past racist statements. For example, there's too many whites in Transport for London, Muslims who collaborate with security services and security forces are Uncle Tom sellouts, his numerous links with Islamists and terrorists, his record as a human rights lawyer of defending Islamists and terrorists and just racist and terrible Muslims that shouldn't be anywhere near this country, like Farrakhan, who Sadiq Khan has defended in court to allow him to gain access to Britain. And all the while, Sadiq Khan makes noises, of course, about getting Donald Trump barred from London, or he beats the drum to get support opposing Donald Trump's visit to the United Kingdom, or at least to London. he basically wants him to feel shunned and unwanted. All of this stuff is of course referenced in the rant by Tommy Robinson that Ali Rizvi just cherry picked a small segment out of. So this guy, he pretty much gets it bang on, sorry. A lot of Muslims see themselves as Muslim first, British second, so in a lot of cases, yes, it is not their country, especially when it comes to the culture. British culture has been cultivated by people who were here long before any Islamic populations here now. So that guy, very factually accurate, solid statement. You can't really dispute or rebut that because it's spot on. Islam is not native to Britain. Muslims are not native to Britain. Pakistani Muslims like Sadiq Khan aren't native to Britain. And Sadiq Khan views himself as Muslim first, British second, just as the guy said. And as he also references, it's common amongst Muslims to have this worldview. It's Islam above all else, above nationality, above family, above children. Time after time, this has been proven. Sadiq Khan also has more loyalty and affinity with Pakistan than he does to Britain. He's constantly referencing the fact that he's Pakistani, and he made a recent visit to Pakistan to drum up trade, not really for Britain, more for Pakistan. It was a visit that was designed to economically and in other ways benefit Pakistan, not to benefit Britain. He also came with some neo-Marxist / Islamist white guilt tactics of trying to create a campaign to get Britain to formally apologise for some historic events in Pakistan. This thing that neo-Marxists and Islamists have in common with vicarious guilt, but only vicarious guilt applied to the West and the white man. So he went to Pakistan to say mea culpa on behalf of Britain when he's not British. He doesn't represent British values. Yeah, he's born in Britain. That doesn't make him ethnically British. He's not ethnically British. He's ethnically Pakistani. Culturally, he's a Muslim. He's not culturally British. And this is why this guy is spot on in his analysis, and this is why Tommy is spot on in his comments as well, because Sadiq Khan opposes British values. Let me put it this way. The primary objective and goal of Sadiq Khan is to defend and propagate Islam. That is his core role. It's his core value. He's not interested in championing Britain or British values, such as free speech, a rule of law, equality before the law, democracy, sovereignty, strong borders, shared cultural heritage and history. He's not interested in any of that, and all of his actions demonstrate that. So here is just some more of Ali's pomposity. It's so nauseating. And you can see our friend Majid. Also, a note to any Majid fans amongst you. I think he's alright. He does generally espouse the principles of liberalism, and I would say he's more British in that sense than someone like Sadiq Khan or George Galloway or any sort of far left neo-Marxist type. Again, the shared primary goal and objective of Majid Nawaz, who is a Muslim like Sadiq Khan, is to defend and propagate Islam. Majid does this through obscurantism by creating the word Islamist as a degree of separation for criticism to ring fence Islam and Muhammad from criticism, and basically pin all the negative aspects of Islam, core Islam, onto Islamism, as if Islamism is somehow separate from Islam. So this is his trick, and he speaks very well, and he wears suits and basically goes around and sells this snake oil. But he has the same views as Ali Rizvi regarding Tommy Robinson. They view Tommy Robinson as a low-life kind of street thug, street extremist. It's just too much realness, too much truth regarding Islam, and they don't like it. They like to denigrate and dismiss anything he says as extreme or unhinged or frothing at the mouth. Again, it's just more essentially ad hominem responses. They're not addressing the content of Tommy Robinson's facts or argument. It's just a shoot the messenger type thing. For Ali and for Majid, it's easier to just say fuck Tommy Robinson than address the myriad of problems that Tommy Robinson highlights and raises. It's just laziness at the end of the day. So, yeah, I don't really have much time for Majid. I'm not a fan of him. And Ali Rizvi is just a chubby, pompous prick. He's fell off so far. As I said, he's insufferable now. And yeah, just wanted to quickly vent on that because guy gets on my nerves to no extent these days. And he's in the Mariam Namazi crowd, leftist snobbery towards basically it's white working class critics of Islam. Very quick to slander them as racist or imply that they're racist. Very quick to slander them as extremist or somehow unhinged or crazy or deluded or deranged. It's a very disgusting tactic. And Ali Rizvi engages in this. Mariam Namazi engages in this, Julia Ebner engages in this, Majid Nawaz engages in this, and the likes of Dawkins, he won't even touch Tommy Robinson with a barge pole. Same for Harris. Harris, at one point, it seemed like he may have Tommy Robinson on a podcast, but he was just getting too much heat from the likes of bigots like Ali Rizvi. That's the thing about Ali Rizvi as well, the sweet projection of, yes, a regressive. I do consider Ali Rizvi a regressive these days. The projection of calling non-bigots bigots. He's extremely intolerant of opposing views, and he's constantly displaying this on Twitter. So yeah, fuck Ali Rizvi.